זאת ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
And now please turn to page 159, 159. Together, sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. And now we turn to page 158 for our people's song of redemption, Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha neder b'kodesh, Norah tehilot oseh peleh, Norah tehilot oseh peleh. Malchutecha ru'anecha, Ukei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli anu ve'omru, Ze'eli anu ve'omru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני בעל ישראל.
And now we turn to page 160, 160 for Hashkivenu. This is a song that in it we ask God to help us build a shelter of peace. And it discusses so many things that we need a shelter from. So let's all read this in English together before we sing the song. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield us and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Yishalom B'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Yishalom B'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom B'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim.
Especially when we think of Purim coming up, which we'll talk about more, the idea of having a God who is our guardian and who helps us build a shelter of peace is especially appropriate. So we hold that and we turn to page 162, 162, where we sing of our covenant with God in observing Shabbat, the Shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
And now we turn to the tefillah portion of our service, the Amidah, and that's on page 164. It begins on page 164, and I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Adonai sifratayti tach uvi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot Imahot, U'mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Ba'avam, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor L'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol HaKarav L'Hoshia. Hashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachadim Rabim. Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayim Emunato V'Shenei Afar, V'Chamocha Ba'Gvorot, U'Mido Malach, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atah L'Hachayot HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kdoshim b'chol yom Yehallelu Chaselah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated.
Testing? Can you hear me?
Can you all hear Lori okay? Okay, great. My ears were playing tricks on me. All right, so please turn to page 171, and I would like to invite up Tammy and Mike in honor of Tammy's father's yard site.
Days pass and years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk.
Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
And now we turn to page 178 for Shalom Rav, 178.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
And now our thoughts turn to those who are in need of healing. The congregation is thinking for healing of Robin Zimmerman, Richmond Wynn, Jenny Van Bassett, Holly Caristo, Jim DeArmond, Anita Perlman, Rebecca Kaufman, Pearl Levin, Jay Goldblatt, Marsha Cohen, Ron Rappaport, Rosa Glico, Carol Friedman, Carol Wallace, David Cohen, Rivka Bathinda, Carol Solomon, Ben Fishman, Shelley Fishman, Natalie Conway, Marion Cohn Spitzner, June Van, Rabbi Michael Matchison, Deborah Rosen, Mary Blutenthal, Avery Silvers, Rayla Montagna, Dennis Montagna, Vicky Dunn, Sherry Chait, Jerry Chait, Larry Michaelov, Glenn Ullman, and Sydney Leiser. If there is anyone else who has a name they'd like to add to the list, I invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours.
Bungie,
Alan Lyons, Michael, Mahika,
Carol Candido, Oliver, caregivers out there. Brandon Johnson, Boston.
Michelle and Stuart Rosenthal.
We hold all of their names with us as a community as we think of them and everyone who needs healing. And I invite you to turn to page 371 for the Misha Berach, and I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mekor habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
May those who will not be healed on this earth be blessed with nights free from suffering and days filled with peace. May God grant strength and comfort to those who care for the sick. May God help us to find hope and courage as we face fear and loss. May all who are ill be surrounded by the love of friends, loving companions, family, and community. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. And now, having prayed for peace and prayed for healing, I invite you to take a few moments and pray silently for the prayers in your heart.
Shalom Bimromav, Huya Ase Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So this is the Shabbat, which is, the portion is Tetzaveh, which we'll talk more about tomorrow. And it's also called Shabbat Zachor because it's the Shabbat right before Purim. Zachor means remember. And when I think of Purim, I think of all of the memories of Purim as a kid with, of course, hearing the Purim story and also costumes and Hamantashen and Purim carnivals. And we are, like the announcement said, going to have a Megillah reading on Saturday, and for the kids in the school, there are going to be some great carnival stuff on Sunday, so we get to keep building those memories. There is some stuff, though, about Purim that we don't usually talk about. Vashti, for instance. What happens to Vashti? She disobeys the king, and it says in the Hebrew that she, after the king is angry with her, that she comes no more before the king. And the rabbis disagree about whether Vashti was exiled or Vashti was killed or what happened to her. We just don't know. There's no conclusive evidence from the text about what happens to Vashti. What we do have conclusive evidence about, though, is that after Esther successfully petitions the king and tells her who she is and convinces the king obviously to change his mind and not kill all of the Jews, the king gives us permission to kill all of Haman and Haman's kids and all of Haman's relatives in all the kingdom of Shushan, the whole land. And we do. The Jews go out and we massacre them. And so we don't teach our kids about that. It's not the happiest message of Purim. But I think it's an important thing for us to recognize that Purim is a complicated story. It's not just the carnival and Hamantashen. And recognizing that the commandment or our permission to wipe out all of Haman's relatives, we learn in the story that Haman is thought of as one of the Amalekites, one of the descendants of the people that actually harry us and give us a bad time as Israelites in the desert. And so there are references to this in Exodus and in Deuteronomy, where we have the first instance where the Amalekites attack us in the desert. And they attack us from the rear of our line when we're going through the desert in Israel, on our way to the Promised Land, rather, in the desert. And that just wasn't done. You don't attack the infirm and the people that are not well and the people that are sick. And so, because of that, God decides that they have to be punished and commands us, the Israelites, to wipe them out. And so, when we get to the land of Israel and we have our first king, King Saul, he has the opportunity and does a pretty good job, but he disobeys the full command and lets the king survive. And so, all throughout time, in Purim and in later on, other times, they say that these people are the descendants of the Amalekites, descendants of the people of Amalek. And so, knowing that this history is important, knowing what it means to our people, knowing that it is threaded throughout history, that the Amalekites wronged us and we were supposed to go after them, and at times we do, it's important to know that. And I think as adults it's important to have this understanding that Purim is a broader spectrum of holiday than just what we teach our kids. And I think the most important lesson, though, is one that we do teach our children, that Esther's strength in going up to the king and standing up for what's right and standing up for the people is the more important lesson. It is a lesson in strength and bravery, and Esther doesn't do it alone. She asks all of the Jewish people to fast with her for 3 days and nights before she goes to petition the king. So it's a lesson in bravery, and it's a lesson in community and solidarity, that Esther reaches out to the community and we all stand together with her before she goes to the king. And so the lesson that I pull from this, from Esther, that I want to share with all of you is that teamwork makes the dream work. That we are able, with community, with the help of each other, to stand in solidarity and to accomplish great things. So finding people for us to work with, finding people to work together. I hope that this Shabbat we can channel and find what it is that we really want to accomplish and rest and take some deep breaths and then come back together and find people to work with to accomplish these goals, because we really are able to accomplish great things together. And as a community, not just the people here in the room, but people we reach out with to the broader Bethel community and people in Jacksonville, other partners to partner with to accomplish great things. So again, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom and an early Happy Purim. Enjoy.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom. And now, as we turn to the concluding parts of our service, we turn to page 586, 586 for the Aleinu. And I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teik gdula yotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol ha'olam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'motim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu noteh shamayim v'yosei haaretz, u'moshav yikaru b'shamayim imo, u'shkinatu zo, v'kol hei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu epet zulato, kad katuv b'torato, v'yatamta hayom v'ashevamta elevalecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim b'mol, v'al ha'aretz b'tachat ein od, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, v'melech ha'kol ha'aretz, v'yom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
You may be seated. There are stars up above, so far away, that by the time we see their light, the star is long gone. And so it is with people that we have loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways that we remember. The congregation is remembering those whom we've lost within the last year. Dan Goldman, Judy Ellikin, Inga Langsam, Phyllis Zuckerman, Nancy Honig, Judy DeArmond, Gloria Bell, Dorothy Zemlich-Fine, Gordon Overton, Jay Aronoff, Marcel Retner Mendelbaum, Clara Ostfeld, Lionel Gleckenhaus, and Lawrence Merrill Saxon. And those whom we've lost at this time in years past: Louis Avchin, Elsie Brenner, Florence Kertzky, Lillian Cohen, Fanny Evans, Morris Evans, Harvey Friedman, Ben Gavronsky, Dan Goldman, Sidney Grossinger, Ellie Hardy, Saul Hirsch, Carol Hourahan, Edith Kendall, Anna Kurzweil, Alfred Lagich, Max Lipkin, Ed Moskowitz, Eugene Nachmias, Erwin Natz, Ruth Reichbart, Maxine Russ, Vivian Sandler, Shirley Sheffer, Martin Schultz, Mary Silver, Bess Stein, Jacob Teich, Harvey Udoff, Betty Weiselberg, and Max Winselberg. If there is anyone that has a name they'd like to share with the community, I invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours.
Doris Levinson.
Mr. Ben.
We hold all their names together as a community. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for the Kaddish on page 598. 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba be'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute b'chayechon u've'omechon uv'chaye decho beit Yisrael ba'gala u'bizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam U'Lalmei Amaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yit'aleh V'yithalal Shmei D'Kudesha Brichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace on high bring comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. And now to channel some of that Purim joy, whether it's the memories of Hamantashen or carnivals or the story or all of it together, I invite you to turn to page 673 for a Purim song, Chag Purim.
So the part that is most familiar, and I hope to hear your voices on, is the bottom part. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Okay.
Chag Purim, Chag Gadol LeYehudim, Masechot Rashanim, Zmar v'Rikudim. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Barashanim. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Hava Narisha, rush, rush, rush. Barashanim. And now let us turn to page 603 for the priestly benediction. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for this blessing. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. Shalom, shalom, Ken Yehiratzon. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
An early happy Purim.
Yeah.
Let's go out and celebrate in the vestibule.